Hi everybody, Jeremy here and welcome to Lesson 8 in our tutorial series. Today we're going to look specifically at ShapesXR's new interactivity system. This new system allows you to add triggers and transitions to your project so that you can build truly interactive and animated prototypes of your XR apps or your spatial experiences. And you can do all that without a single line of code. So let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at what we're going to create in today's lesson. So in today's lesson, we're going to add interactivity to this button here. So let me go ahead and show you what the final is going to look like. Users will come into the scene, and when they hover over the button, it will highlight. And then when they click the button, this whiteboard appears in the air. Now, if you haven't gone through the previous tutorials, not a problem. You can probably create some new elements as we go along just to learn the system. But for now, I'm going to continue using the productivity app that we've been working on. So let's go ahead and start on stage 1. This is our home stage. This is what I want users to see when they first come into the experience. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete these hand controllers as we go along since we don't need them anymore. So the first thing I'm going to do is group the button and the icon together so Shapes recognizes them as one single object. This is going to help us when we start adding our interactivity. So this here is going to be our first stage. This is our home stage. So the first interactivity I want to create is a hover effect. I want to show what this button here looks like when a user hovers over it. So we've already got a nice version of the hover effect over on stage 2. So let's go over there now. And yeah, I like that. That looks really good. So we're going to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this hand controller there. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to duplicate stage 2 here because some of these elements I want to use later on. So I want to make sure we've got a copy of it. So let's now go back to stage 2 and let's delete this light burst here. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to group the button and the icon together just like we did before. So now we have 2 stages. We've got our home stage without a hover effect, and then we've got stage 2 with a hover effect. So let's go ahead and add the interactivity. So from your non-dominant hand, activate the interactivity menu by clicking on this lightning bolt icon right here. And this is your interactivity menu, and you can see it tells you what stage you're currently on. And over here in the right-hand corner of the menu, you can see your interactivity options. So if I click on that, we have on click, on hover enter, on hover exit, and after delay. So let's go ahead and add a hover enter interactivity to this stage. Now, once I've selected my interaction, I then click on the object in my scene that I want to assign that interactivity to. In this case, it's our button. So next I have to decide what stage I want ShapesXR to go to when users hover over the object. And in this case, I want users to go to stage 2. The interactivity system always defaults to the next stage, but if I want the interaction to go to a different stage, I simply click on this number here and I just drag my hand to the right or the left to toggle through my stages. And I can see my stage numbers here, but if you can see, Shapes also previews the stages in the scene as well, which can be very helpful if you don't remember the exact number of the stage you want to go to. All right, congratulations. You've just added your first interaction in ShapesXR. So let's go ahead and play this out to kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. So to enter interactivity mode, I just press in on my thumbstick button here, or I press this play button here, and that puts me into interactivity mode. So now you can see my stage is right up here. When I hover over the button, we automatically went to stage 2. Now, when I move off the button, nothing happens. So next, we need to toggle over to stage 2 and add an exit hover interactivity to our button. So I select my interaction, link it to the button. And in this case, when users are no longer hovering over the button, I want the interaction to go back to the original stage, or stage 1. So in essence, we're using the hover enter and the hover exit interactions to just toggle back and forth between the 2 stages. All right, let's play out our interaction and see how it's looking. And now you can see when I hover onto the button, we automatically go to stage 2. And when I hover off the button, we return to stage 1. And you can see all this happening in real time. Perfect. All right, let's move on. So next, let's show what happens when users actually click on the button. Now, in this case, when users press the button, we want our whiteboard to appear in the air above the desk. So right now, we have 2 stages in our prototype that suggest an animation. But for fun, I'm just going to add a few more stages just to make the transition a bit more interesting. So let's duplicate stage 3. So now stages 3 and 4 are the same. And now let's go over to stage 5 and duplicate it as well. But before we do that, let's group our whiteboard and all the elements on the whiteboard together just to make our lives a little bit easier. All right, so let's duplicate stage 5. All right, so now stages 5 and 6 are the same. So we have 4 stages now that we're going to use to build out a tiny animation effect. So the first stage in our sequence is stage 3. On stage 4, I'm going to make this light burst here just a little bit bigger. So now I'm going to select the light burst, snap it back to its original position, and duplicate. I'm still holding it, and I'm going to toggle over to stage 5, and I'm going to place it back in its original position. And now on stage 5, I'm going to make the light burst even a little bigger. So let's go ahead and enlarge that a little bit. And I'm going to decrease the size of my whiteboard just a tiny bit. All right, so now we have a sequence of 4 slides that suggest an animation effect. So stages 3, 4, 5, and 6 make up our animation sequence. All right, so let's now go ahead and add the interactivity to this animation sequence. So let's go to stage 2. So this is the stage on which users will press this button that will activate the animation sequence. So on stage 2, I'm going to add an on-click interaction, and then I'm going to press this button here to associate it with this particular interaction. And we're already set to go to stage 3. That's where I want to go, so we're good to go. All right, so let's now toggle over to stage 3. And this is the first frame in our animation. So we're going to add a new interaction, and this time we're going to add an after delay interaction. And what this does is this allows us to have a stage only present itself for a certain amount of time before it automatically transitions to the next stage. So after a delay, and in this case, I want the delay to be pretty short. So I'm just going to click on here, and I've got a keyboard here, and what I want is I'm going to have this go, we're going to do 0.1 seconds. So it's going to be a really quick transition. So we're good there. And then I want, after 0.1 seconds, I want us to transition to stage 4. So let's go ahead and go over to stage 4. And I'm going to add the same interaction to stage 4. And I'm going to add the same interaction to stage 5. All right, so now this interaction is going to play really quickly once we do our prototype. All right, let's give our prototype a test run. So I'm starting on stage 1, and then I press the play button to enter interactivity mode. And you can see that our hover effect is working great. And when we click on the button, our animation sequence plays and our whiteboard appears. All right, that's it. Thank you all so much for joining us. I encourage you to keep playing around with the interactivity system. It's really cool. You can do a lot of fun things with it. So go out there, create some fun things, share it with us. We can't wait to see what you do. So keep your eyes open. We've got some more tutorials coming soon, and we'll see you then. All right, bye everybody.